the Special Advisor to Mr. President on Information and Strategy, the Chairman, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, ably represented at this event by the Commissioner and Executive Vice Chairman, Dr. Musli Hosseini. All senior officials of various federal ministries present here, CEOs and senior officials of government agencies and parastatals present, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I say good afternoon to you all. Let me also join the Honorable Minister of Information to appreciate the gentlemen of the media for the consistent support they have extended to this government in airing the activities of government and supporting all the laudable activities of this administration to give to the people the quality lives that they deserve, and the gradual delivery of all the electoral promises of our principal, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, under his renewed hope agenda. We thank you so much for the support, and we hope that we'll sustain this cordial relationship to the end of this administration. The event of this afternoon is quite important to us all, given the importance of power to our daily lives and the centrality of the power sector to achieving sustainable economic growth and industrial development. The power sector is quite unique compared to all the other sectors because everybody is affected by electricity. Every household, every business, every institution, be it health or educational institutions, and every industry is affected. And I've said it in the past that one of the major contributors to consistent depreciation in value of our currency has been our heavy dependence on imports, which is why this administration has taken it as one of its cardinal activity to achieve import substitution and export promotion. And when you talk about import substitution and export promotion, local production comes into play. There's no way you talk about local production without the energy. So energy is important and central to the activities of government. This is going to be an interactive session, but before then, we'll take just 15 to 20 minutes to provide an overview of the power sector and the activities of our ministry and our agencies to ensure that we transform the sector to the standard that we all aim for. I'll provide that overview. But as to the technical details of the recent increase in tariff for a portion of the consumers, which is just 15%, branded as Band A customers, I have my colleague here, Dr. Musli Hosseini, that will provide some insight into the technical details, and will now take questions and answers. Firstly, let me appeal to the general public and electricity consumers, including you and I, to display some level of understanding with whatever policy or whatever pronouncement that this administration comes up with. And let us maintain the trust and confidence that we have reposed in this government. This government was voted in democratically based on the trust and confidence of the electorate. The can-do spirit that you observed in Mr. President is still there. He has done it elsewhere before now, in Lagos State, and we hope and we believe that he's going to replicate the same at the federal level together with his hard-working team. Power is critical to optimal performance of other sectors. There's no sector that can perform optimally without stability in the power sector. And Mr. President has resolved to use the power sector to drive the delivery of his laudable objectives of sustainable economic growth and industrial development under the renewed hope agenda. We are all aware of the current hardships that citizens are passing through based on some tough decisions, but necessary decisions that government has taken in the recent past about removal of fuel subsidy, about harmonization of the dual exchange rates. We know that this has led to a lot of things. The inflation rate is there, the devaluation of the naira is there, and the increase in prices of goods and services. These are enough hardships that government is not ready to aggravate at any rate. We are all aware of this. So government will not deliberately come up with a policy to worsen an already bad situation that we are struggling to come out of, which I believe they are necessary pains if you are targeting some gains in this sector. And Mr. President is also committed to transforming the power sector. For the first time in the history of this sector, we have been bold enough and we have been committed enough to address the fundamental issues that have been the bane of the power sector in this country. We all believe that when a system or a structure is passing through repair, is passing through transformation, is passing through revamping, it does not necessarily mean a complete disappearance of the existing pain. In fact, in some cases, it might mean aggravation of the pain in the short time for us to achieve a permanent gain. My favorite example has always been road construction. We're all aware of the hardship people passed through when they were renovating the Tubman Bridge. A particular lane was closed and everybody was passing just a single lane. It was a lot of traffic and inconvenience. But today, that they have finished the renovation, everybody passes through the bridge without any hitch. Another example was the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which was a notorious road before now. For 12 to 15 years, when this road was passing through renovation and reconstruction, there was serious pains that were even greater than what we used to experience. There were gridlocks. People spent a whole day, people spent nights on these roads. And I personally witnessed a wedding ceremony that took place on that particular road because of gridlock. But today, on completion of that road, there's no single traffic gridlock, and everybody passes it smoothly. So I want to plead for understanding. I want to plead for patience, and I want to plead for your trust and confidence that we should exercise some patience with government, that we are addressing the root cause of the problem in the power sector. Past administration may not have been bold enough to address this issue. But because we are sincere with our resolve to transform this sector, to be comparable to what we witness in other countries in the West and the Far East, we must pass through some necessary and unavoidable pains. At the Power Ministry, our core mandate, to remind you again, is to expedite national development through formulation of policies and establishment of systems, structures, and institutions that will guarantee the long-term sustainability of the power sector. to be able to provide functional, reliable, affordable, and cost-effective electricity to households, to businesses, to institutions, and to industries. So we have the policy formulators at the ministry. We also have the regulators that ensure that the operators comply with the policy formulated. That is the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, the NEC. Then we have the operators at the third level. The operators are the players, both public and private sector players, across the three segments of the power sector value chain. We have the generating companies. In fact, let me start by saying that we have the gas producing companies that supply gas to the power generating companies. Then we have the transmission company, which is the long-distance transportation of power. Then we have the distribution companies that drop power into our households, businesses, and industries. These are the layers in the power sector. So there are a few things that are necessary that we must achieve. Number one is achieving an operational sustainability of the operators on cost recovery. Anybody that goes into any business, the first intention is to recover costs, then if possible, make some profits. The moment you cannot cover your costs, the sustainability of such business is doubtful. It will be run aground. But this cost recovery can either be through commercial pricing or a subsidized pricing. Commercial pricing is when the entire cost of producing power is transferred 100% plus the profit to the consumers of power. Subsidized pricing regime is when the consumers are not allowed to pay the full cost of production plus markup, and government has pledged to pay a portion of this on their behalf. That is the regime that we are in Nigeria. We are in a subsidy pricing regime, whereby government provides a large portion of the cost of producing, of transmitting, and of distributing power. And I must tell you that as of today, before the introduction of the tariff increase, government is subsidizing nothing less than 67% of the cost of producing, transmitting, and distributing electricity in Nigeria. At the current exchange rate, this is going to translate into 2.9 trillion naira for 2024. This is more than 10% of the national budget. Power sector is just a single sector out of so many sectors that government has to attend to. We have the works, we have housing, we have education, we have health, we have defense, and so on and so forth, that are all competing for this meager revenue from the government. So it will be very, very insensitive on our part to force or compel governments to continue to subsidize at that rate of almost 3 trillion for the power sector alone. We just have to be realistic and considerate. We also must ensure that the regulators are independent and there is consequence management for non-compliance by the operators in terms of punishment meted out to a non-complying power sector player, be it a distribution company, the transmission company, or any of the generating companies. Then the last one that we must achieve at the ministry is consumer protection and value for money. Whatever consumer pays for, there must be commensurate value for it. Complaints of customers must be promptly attended to by the power sector operators. Then, from the policy formulation perspective, the recent increase in tariff for only band A customer which is just